Aarohi felt a chill as she stood before Maya's grave. The inscription was faded, barely visible beneath a layer of moss and time. Aarohi traced the outline of the engraved letters, her fingers trembling slightly.
This was no ordinary ghost story. This was a tale of tragedy, of a life cut short, of a soul seeking solace. Aarohi was determined to uncover the truth behind Maya's sorrow. Aarohi had always been drawn to the unknown. She had a thirst for adventure and a deep empathy for those who had been wronged.
When she had heard the whispers of Maya's ghost haunting the old town, she knew she had to find out more. Who was Maya, and what was her unfinished business?
Aarohi closed her eyes, picturing the ghostly figure she had seen fleetingly in the moonlight. The image was faint, almost a whisper in the wind, but the sorrow in the ghost's eyes was undeniable. Aarohi felt a surge of determination. She would help Maya find peace, even if it meant confronting the shadows of the past.
As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the graveyard, Aarohi made a silent vow. She would not rest until she had uncovered the truth behind Maya's tragic fate. She would be the voice for the voiceless, the seeker of justice for the forgotten. The town library was a treasure trove of forgotten memories. Aarohi spent hours poring over dusty volumes, their pages brittle with age. She searched for any mention of Maya, any clue that would shed light on the ghost's past.
The air in the library was heavy with the scent of old paper and forgotten dreams. Aarohi could almost feel the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. Days turned into nights, as Aarohi delved deeper into the town's past.
She discovered tales of a tragic fire that had swept through the town decades ago, claiming the lives of many residents. Could Maya have been one of the victims?
Aarohi shivered, imagining the terror and chaos of that fateful night. As she read further, Aarohi stumbled upon a name that sent a chill down her spine: Mr. Silas Blackwood. According to local legend, Mr. Blackwood had been a recluse, feared and ostracized by the townsfolk. Rumors had circulated about his strange experiments and his obsession with the occult.
Aarohi couldn't shake off the feeling that Mr. Blackwood was somehow connected to Maya's fate. With each passing day, Aarohi felt herself getting closer to the truth. The pieces of the puzzle were slowly starting to fit together, but the picture they were painting was far from clear.
A sense of foreboding settled over Aarohi as she realized the depth of the secrets hidden within the town's history. Mrs. Eleanor Hawthorne was the oldest resident in town, her memory a living archive of bygone eras. Aarohi approached her with a mix of trepidation and hope. Mrs. Hawthorne lived in a rambling Victorian house at the edge of town, surrounded by a tangle of overgrown roses. The house seemed to sag under the weight of its years, its windows dark and watchful.
Aarohi knocked hesitantly on the weathered oak door, the sound echoing through the stillness. Moments later, the door creaked open, revealing Mrs. Hawthorne. Her eyes, though clouded with age, still held a spark of intelligence.
Aarohi introduced herself and explained her interest in Maya's story. A shadow of fear crossed Mrs. Hawthorne's face, and she hesitated before inviting Aarohi inside.
"Some things are best left buried, child," Mrs. Hawthorne warned, her voice a dry whisper.
She led Aarohi into a dimly lit parlor, where faded photographs lined the mantelpiece. Aarohi could feel the weight of unspoken secrets hanging in the air. She pressed on, asking about Maya and the tragic fire.
Mrs. Hawthorne's gaze drifted towards a faded photograph of a young girl with haunting eyes. "Maya?" she murmured, her voice barely audible. She was a bright spirit, full of life. But some things are not meant to be understood, child. Some secrets are better left undisturbed.
Mrs. Hawthorne's words sent a shiver down Aarohi's spine. There was a hidden terror in her eyes, a fear that spoke volumes about the darkness that lurked beneath the town's placid surface. Aarohi left Mrs. Hawthorne's house with more questions than answers. The elderly woman's fear was palpable, but what was she so afraid of? What secrets lay buried beneath the surface of the town's seemingly peaceful facade?
The encounter left me shaken, but even more determined to uncover the truth.
As Aarohi walked back towards her temporary lodgings, she couldn't shake off the feeling that she was being watched. Shadows seemed to lengthen around her, and the wind seemed to whisper her name. She quickened her pace, her heart pounding in her chest.
Reaching my room, I locked the door behind me, seeking refuge from the growing unease that gnawed at me.
She tried to dismiss her fears as tricks of the imagination, but deep down, she knew something was amiss. The town held secrets, dark and dangerous secrets, and she had stumbled right into the heart of them. Exhaustion finally claimed her, and Aarohi drifted into a restless sleep. But even in her dreams, she couldn't escape the feeling of being watched, of being hunted by something unseen. The line between reality and nightmare blurred, leaving Aarohi teetering on the edge of terror. The next morning, Aarohi awoke with a start, the lingering fear of her dreams clinging to her like a shroud. Determined to push past her growing unease, she decided to revisit the library, hoping to find more clues about Maya's past. Perhaps there was something she had missed, some detail that would shed light on the mystery surrounding the young girl's death.
As I stepped into the library, a strange melody drifted towards me. It was a haunting tune, both beautiful and melancholic, played on an unseen instrument.
The music seemed to emanate from the back of the library, from the section dedicated to local history. Aarohi felt an irresistible pull towards the music, as if it were beckoning her towards a long-forgotten secret. Cautiously, Aarohi made her way toward the source of the music. The shelves in this section were shrouded in shadows, the air thick with the scent of dust and decay. As she moved deeper into the stacks, the music grew louder, more insistent. Aarohi's heart pounded in her chest, a mixture of fear and anticipation coursing through her veins. Suddenly, the music stopped abruptly, leaving behind an eerie silence.
I froze, listening intently for any sound, any sign of life.
The silence was broken only by the sound of her own breathing. She was alone, yet she couldn't shake off the feeling that unseen eyes were watching her every move.